So my name is Fabrice June. I study public health and anthropology. I'm a senior, so graduating this May. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm definitely all over the place as far as organizations that I'm involved in. I'll bring up the Gentlemen of Quality first, which is like a brotherhood of men of color on this campus, and we just serve as like a family for men of color to come into the room and whether in their classes where they feel like they don't belong, this is a room where we can express certain things and just talk as have that family sense and community of like people to lean on and just like people that look like you are going through similar experiences as you. Then there's the Haitian American Student Association, which I was born in Haiti, and that's a part of my identity that I really I'm really prideful in. So like I kind of made it a point for me to like contribute to the Haitian students on this campus and make sure that they had a place to go to explore that identity if they haven't before, if they have, just to express that. I'm part of the Student Activities Board. I'm the Vice Chair of Development, so I kind of oversee the new club applications. The reason I jumped into that is because I wanted to make sure that certain students who wanted to create communities that might not be as big on paper, but that are needed, like certain cultural groups and affinity groups. So making sure that their voices were heard, and they were being looked into as like potential clubs that feel a need, even though it doesn't feel a need for the majority of the university, but for certain students who need that and who don't have that community present. What else do I do? Mosaic, the Interfaith Students of Color Coalition, just trying to bring different students of color of different faiths and religions and forms of spirituality into the same room to have a conversation, to bond and learn from each other. And outside of that, I work with NYU Global Spiritual Life to like kind of reach out to students of color on this campus and making sure that they know what resources is available to them, and dabble in other things. And yeah, dabble in other things, yeah.
But what do you do here?
Here, so like I'm an office assistant, so like I do a bunch of like stuff like Faith Zone, which is about religious literacy, but like a lot of what they have me here for is more so to outreach, making sure like I said, like students of color know what's here. One thing that I'm working on is like a special project is a potential like Black Christian group, which is kind of similar to the Black Muslim initiative that's going on right now, where there is not a space for Black Christian students on this campus to come together. There are Christian groups, but there is no Black Christian group, which is a lot of times in your spirituality and your faith, you feel most comfortable to express yourself when you're around those who look like you, when you're around those who've been through similar experiences. So that's one thing I'm working on with them, just a bunch of other things with like mindfulness and yoga, meditation, making sure that students of color have that outlet to release whatever stress this PWI can, instill. PWI stands for Predominantly White Institution. That is New York University. I remember being a freshman here. It was tough. I commuted my first semester, and I was in classes where, like, the instructor would tell a joke, like a lecture of 600 students. Everybody would be laughing. I'd just be looking around like, what are y'all laughing about? I don't get it, because literally I was like chocolate sprinkle on like a vanilla cupcake. It was crazy, and I mean that literally. So it's like NYU was literally just an academic institution to me, not a community, there was no social life for me. I just got on campus, did my schoolwork, went back home. And when I found certain groups, when I found the Black Student Union and the Gentlemen of Quality and whatnot, I felt more at home, and it enhanced my student experience where now I'm not just bringing in book knowledge into the world, I'm bringing in the importance of advocacy for marginalized and minority groups. So it was never like I'm a leader, I can accomplish this. Just like seeing the need on this campus and contributing and doing my best. I'm not perfect, I have flaws too, but it is some of my calling to make sure that I give back what's kind of been given to me by other people who already graduated and whatnot. Continue that legacy that they've set for us. So racially, I identify as Black. I was born in Haiti, so like I'm Black. Yes, definitely. My experience from like as a person of color, as opposed to like my white peers, is 100% different, I would say, because the difference lies in the effort that needs to be made between myself and let's say my white peer in being comfortable here. being white on this campus, or even being, you know, like Asian on this campus. You know, in certain classrooms, you know, you already see people who look like you, and you can make friends right then and there. You don't need to do anything other than that. You can never go to a club event, but you know, in your dorm rooms or in your classrooms, you already feel at home because, you know, you have certain people you can relate to. But for me, that wasn't the case. I had to put in the extra work to, like, okay, like, let me go to Club Fest and sign up for this and that. I have to attend this event because this is the only time I'm about to see like people that I'll feel comfortable around this entire week outside of, like, classes and whatnot. So that in itself, just the extra effort I have to put in to feel comfortable and to be poured back into, makes the experience 100% different. And also just, you know, the way that, you know, a lot of, like, being at this predominantly white institution, and, you know, obviously having a lot of, you know, white staff, you know, just like how, and white faculty, just how their lack of knowledge on certain topics that pertain to my identity or pertain to my experience, or just the society at large, you know, it's tough to hear sometimes. And it's like, okay, I'm a student. Do I raise my hand and correct that, or is this what I'm supposed to be writing down and digesting? So, whereas, like, you know, if you're a white student, oh, cool, you know, that, you know, I'm the majority, you know, I can just take this and regurgitate it. So, I would say it's 100% different. Diversity within the student body and diversity within the faculty would obviously help this establishment. You know, you cannot push the narrative of being a liberal arts school and, you know, having all these different, you know, opportunities to study away, and just like, you know, you're gonna get everything here at NYU, and you keep posting these pictures and using, you know, token students, you know, like, we got diversity. No, you don't. You know, you found one or two students who, you know, could help that picture that you're about to take a shot, because it would either otherwise would have been like all white students, or, you know, maybe all Asian students. But I think it would 100% help the experience, because I really feel like there are a lot of white students on this campus who go through their entire experience without ever speaking to a black student or a Hispanic student or anything like that. And that's crazy to me, that this is New York University, the global network, the global university, and yet they were able to stay in kind of their niche and not interact with anybody that's been through anything significantly different from their experience. And I think getting that kind of improving faculty, of course, because, you know, so like Africana studies or Caribbean studies, you have to have people who are actually from there. You have to have people who actually know what they're talking about, or who have experienced what they're talking about. But for the student body, just an interaction and how to, when you do leave the confines of this establishment, like how to interact with people, you know, not be taken aback for if certain people have certain, you know, cultural restrictions, or, you know, being considerate of experiences that are different from yours. So I think it would definitely help this university. I definitely think diversity training should be implemented as much as possible on this university, because of the disparities of, like, who's attending the school. You know, I definitely understand, like, you know, the health benefits of having modules on, you know, alcohol, like, you know, substance abuse or whatever. But things like microaggressions can be just as harmful to, you know, the mental state of students, you know, going through it on a daily basis, and, you know, not knowing how to, like, or just continuously experience, like, you know, either like dropping out, leaving the school, transferring out. And it would help NYU with their, you know, retention rates and whatnot, making sure that, you know, obviously, you know, no problem is ever going to be 100% fixed. But if, you know, you get them as freshmen and you do that training right then and there, you know, if it's a hit or miss 50-50, at least, like, you know, 50% of that class is coming in, you know, knowing that, okay, I have to make a concerted effort to be inclusive and to, you know, be considerate of, you know, the entire student body, and even the minority portion of the student body, not just the majority. So I think it definitely helped. But one of the scariest times on this campus, for my friends specifically, was when during the election time, when the votes were getting counted down, you know, for Trump versus Hillary. And I remember a friend of mine telling me that while on her way home, she was on Union Square heading towards, I believe, heading to her dorm, I forget which one. She got spat on and pushed by NYU students near Union Square. And like, this is one of those instances where like, you can't really like, I guess find these culprits or whatever, but like that's serious. Thank God that's all they did, but like that's the type of energy that was evoked. And spray painting at paint at Tannen's Muslim Student Association, like I guess room, like, or their prayer room, like that's extremely serious, where people feel so empowered by, oh, this white supremacist individual is in power now, we can do what we want. She was a black woman, senior, yeah, she was like a light-skinned black woman. Yeah. It's funny because I've had certain conversations with certain faculty who are really allies to students of color on this campus, and one of the things that struck me completely this school year was I was forced to realize that every time I hear about like, or something that a new group that can be created, or like a need on this campus that need to be fulfilled, I for some reason feel obligated to be a part of that as a student, and sacrifice my academics, sacrifice me just being able to put in that extra work to make that happen, as opposed to university actually hiring somebody, hiring specialists, putting more funding into these diversity and inclusion initiatives, to actually make to pay people to do this work, as opposed to me doing this work for free, which takes away from a lot. And that's something that my academics during times my academics has taken a hit, because I have this community on my back. I cannot just go to sleep for a week and put it on the back burner. Yeah, I will skip a class before I ever skip a club meeting, because I know these students are depending on me, because that's all they get during the week. So definitely more funding. I know like there's talks of a Africana Center being started on this campus, so definitely throw like some backing at that. I know for example, there are certain clubs on this campus who have more funding than like the Academic Achievement Program, which services Black students, Latinx students, and Native American students, and that's crazy to me. A club has more funding than an actual program, an actual school program. So definitely a lot more funding, and just I would hope that this university gets less used to making students do the work. Yeah, definitely allow us to advocate for ourselves and fight for ourselves. But once you see a certain issues being brought up, looking for expertise in the area, and not forcing us to do all the mental labor and the actual physical labor too. Honestly, like this same conversation that's going on right now, I'd love for this to be done more like face to face with these administrators and these individuals in power. You know what I mean? Like it's easy for you to hear us from a camera, but I'd love for you to invite certain student leaders into your office room, and see certain issues face to face, to come into certain meeting rooms, and to visit certain programs, initiatives that are supposed to be serving these marginalized minority communities, and making sure that their concerns at that moment in time, and not just code switch for a camera, whatever. Like you can see that real life. So I'd love for them to step out of their offices and their comfort zones, and actually take a peek into what's really going on in the real lives of the students on campus. So